I had a busy weekend, so I'm a little late getting to this week's new big release. But I couldn't miss the opportunity to go to the theater 2 weeks in a row. Unfortunately, I went to see Spiral from the Book of Saul.
Hello, I want to play a game.
What am I supposed to cut my own head off? I thought the idea was to leave me an opportunity to survive. Jack, you okay? What's going on?
You want answers? You can't handle the truth!
Spiral from the Book of Saul is a reboot of the Saul franchise that no one asked for. It's directed by Darren Lynn Bousman and stars Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson, and Max Minghella. I strongly believe at this point that Samuel L. Jackson will literally sign on to be in any movie. He was in this movie, and he was in 2 trailers prior to this movie that I saw. I understand he's just out to get paid at this point, but I wish he would be a little bit more selective.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Anyway, Spiral is an attempt to introduce the Saw franchise to a new audience. A more modern audience, because this movie is actually filled with modern music, and it's got Chris Rock performing stand-up comedian acts in the middle of his scenes. But unfortunately, it neglected to do anything new with the property to make this movie seem necessary. I remember when I first saw the trailers, I got this cool Seven Meets Saul vibe, which I honestly found kind of interesting, and I felt like it could be a breath of fresh air. I'm honestly not a big fan of the Saw movies outside of the very first one, which I thought was brilliant, but every sequel that came after it drove this franchise deeper and deeper into irrelevance, because it eventually just became a gimmick thing, and that's the biggest reason why torture movies just don't work for me. You need more than some weird contraptions killing people to hold my attention. The first movie benefited from being the first because the shock value was still there. I actually thought that this movie would scale back on that a little bit and we'd get a little bit more of a subtle approach. Like when you watch 7, you realize that you don't need to see everything.
What's in the box?
It's the reactions to the events or the aftermath of those events that actually take your brain into a dark place. Sometimes less is more, but Spiral makes it very clear early on that this is just pretty much the same song and dance. Basically, what it comes down to is a Jigsaw copycat is targeting corrupt police officers and proceeding to punish them for their evil deeds. And then you have Chris Rock's character, who is probably as cliche as it comes. He's a loose cannon that no one wants to work with, because he's an honest cop, I guess. And he also has daddy issues because his dad was once the chief of police. And in that typical movie formula, he's paired up with someone that he doesn't want to be paired up with. So it's like the buddy cop formula, only you don't give a shit about either of the characters.
I'm too old for this shit.
I think Chris Rock was painfully miscast in this movie. Everything from his dialogue delivery to his mannerisms to his reactions to certain events in this movie just came off so forced to me. It all seems very out of place and not genuine. I like Chris Rock as a comedian, but in this movie, he just felt like he was playing dress-up. Like he was saying things that he thinks a cop would say in this situation, but he really has no idea. He never really embodies the character of this troubled police detective. I guess it just wasn't very believable to me. Let's talk about the new Jigsaw voice, or Spiral voice, or whatever you want to call it. We are very far removed from the iconic voice of Tobin Bell in this. This is like a much more less threatening soy version of Jigsaw's voice. It was just very weird to me.
I myself am strange and unusual.
Honestly, if I get right down to it, there was just nothing memorable about this movie at all. There's no atmosphere or genuine tension to speak of. I thought the contraptions themselves, which is clearly what this franchise has become about, were all very uninspiring. And I'm going to stay away from spoilers in this because I want people to form their own opinion. But there's a twist in this movie that I honestly called about halfway through the movie. And I'm not tooting my own horn here and making it seem like I'm somehow more in tune with these things than other people. But there are certain successful techniques that films use sometimes that hide twists like this while also giving little hints throughout the movie. And again, without giving spoilers, this movie had a moment where, because that moment played out differently than all the other very similar moments in the movie, it became painfully obvious who the killer was.
That makes sense.
I suppose it could have been effective if the execution was just a little bit better, but that's kind of the story for the whole movie. I guess if you enjoyed the Million Saw sequels that you might enjoy this as well, but if you're going into this movie looking for a fresh take on the concept, then you will most likely be disappointed. It's got generic characters, it's got an uninspired plot, and bad dialogue, all making for a huge misfire in this attempt at a Saw reboot. That's why I'm going to give this movie the Angry Rocky.
The dreaded stinks!
Remember folks, I watch shit so you don't have to. I am the people's movie critic. So have you seen Spiral? I hope you have it. If you have, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Sorry, Jack. It was either you or me. Honestly, I don't know what came over me.
You snotty little bastard.
Y'all be cool. Right on.